Hello, boys, babes, and all of you beans in between. Welcome back to episode 5 of All the Blocks, a series where people give me random block palettes and I use them to make a build. The series rules are I'm given 3 to 5 blocks within discretion of like shoulder block boxes are not blocks and stuff like that. 2, one of them must be able to be crafted into stairs and slabs of its variety. Like stone can be stone stairs, but not stone brick or stone brick stairs. And number 3, terraforming after the fact does not count towards the block palette. Now, on that note, the block palette I'm using today was a palette left in my very first video by the Angel 646. The palette was red nether brick, soul sand, quartz block, and mangrove. So, let's see how I use this. So quick start, we're looking at this. It is something that I'm honestly very excited to build. I have not built a boat yet in the series, and for those that know me, I adore boats. Pirates are one of my favorite things in the world, and so is just the concept of sailing. I used to compete in sailing, so being on the water is something a lot of fun that I super miss out on sometimes. But, boats. Now, I also need to admit very quickly in this process that this is actually designed from a build I did a while back, close to 6 or 7 months ago at this point, but it is a boat that I have built currently on the Hypermind server that I am playing on, and it has been a lot of fun using it because there it's a mailroom. It is a ferry boat that is used both as the mailroom and a little meeting space and our spawn area. Now, the block palette is definitely different. It on there is cherry wood for the base, terracotta for the primary shape and hull of the boat, and the interior is mostly done with warp stem and what's the other one? Mud brick. So those are the combo there, and instead here we're working with a much more stark white from the quartz, a much more earthy tones from everything else, which in that energy gives a very detailed and very, I believe a good word for it is classy, I guess? Like some sort of restored vintage situation, which not a bad look, honestly. It just gives the energy of someone has this from their private island and they bring their personal cars across from it kind of deal. But not the aggressive flashy of a yacht, but this is just someone's personal like workboat kind of deal. But I love it. I think it's silly. I wish honestly I had been able to incorporate glass into this build because while the mangrove like trapdoors work great for portholes, it's not exactly fitting the vibe and the energy of this space, and it removes a lot of the free light that is available in the build. Now, boats don't stand alone well, so let's see what we can do about that with some basic terraforming and incorporating it into its environment. Alrighty, so looking at this monstrosity, but also a little masterpiece that I adore. This, once again, this is a build that I have done before, and I absolutely love the way it looks. I was very happy with it. I will also admit, when you look at it from funny angles, this looks like Freddy Fazbear. And if you don't know what that is, I'm glad you don't know what that is, but this haunts my dreams. I never played Five Nights at Freddy's, but it looks like him, and now I can't unsee it. Because someone pointed out this side looked like a funky face, so I went to go check the other one, and the other one looks specifically like Five Nights at Freddy character. But that's unintentional. So one of the biggest and best ways I find to incorporate boats into your environment is a dock. And it is super simple and super easy to do, and only requires, honestly, a very simple amount of blocks. Now, as much as I feel like mangrove would be a good look for that specific spot, I think we're going to switch over and do it with the acacia wood. Why? Because acacia has a much more weathered appearance to it. Partly like it could be concrete, but it is technically also a wood, and it looks like it has taken on the form of a, what's the word? Petrified wood, almost? Which I personally find to be a very beautiful thing. I have a couple pieces of petrified wood that I was given by my great-grandfather, which I think are some of the most beautiful pieces of stone that I have. Because technically it is a stone. When it's petrified, it mineralizes itself, and it's super cool. I think that it's a beautiful texture and beautiful thing to have. Now, it creates that earthy but also industrial feeling to it without making it too complicated. Now, I will also go ahead and recognize that boats do look out of the blue and out of the ordinary when they are the only thing in environment. Now, I personally do not want this to be the only thing around here, but we are going to play with that a little bit, and it's not going to be quite in this video. We're going to do some, I think what we're going to end up doing is if I get another block palette that I think will go with it, we will make it into like a dock, shed, or town space that we can incorporate together, because I really like the idea of being able to build out a town-like area all together in this space, while proving like block palettes can go well together. So if we continue to get more red tones, I definitely want to do it with that, because I think it'll look super cool. Now, super quick thing here, I like to do this. I have to do it this way though, so that if you want to make it feel like your environment is interacting with itself in its own way, you can do things like this. So when you want the boat to cast off, you now have this opening. And when you want it to be inaccessible in your storyline or your little world that feels like it has a story, you open it back up. Now, there's another thing you can do with this, and it is to not keep this as a singular texture. Because of the position of this block, you can then mix in these to make it, whoops-a-daisy, look like patches in your build, so that it's not so singular and flat. And an easy thing to do is then have a couple sticking up here and there. Another lovely thing you can do to add to it is, where's my search bar? Campfires. Those look like pallets when they are not actively burning. Now let me grab a shovel so that we can put it out. I think a shovel works to do that. But if you have these, they look like sets of pallets, especially with certain texture packs. When you can get rid of the ash in the bottom, it really looks like a pallet sitting around waiting to be shipped, or anything of that kind and variety. So it looks like it belongs out here on its dock. This is super simple and super easy. I'm going to do a little bit more touch up and we will definitely call this done. But things like that make it super simple. It makes it look like it belongs. And it also makes it so that you can actively and excessively use this to make it into an actual space. Now, I'm going to do some little bit of interior on this thing, because while this is not your traditional base, it can definitely act as a base, but I'm not going to treat it as such because we've done that with our last couple things. So let me see how I can show you how this can be like a super sweet storage space without looking like a big old storage room. So let's see what we can do with it. Alrighty, with some weird finagling and some funny little block puts and pats, we are on our way forward. So, a couple of things I did in here. I wanted to, as I said earlier, turn this into a storage style space. Now, obviously, blatant storage right here, very straightforward, very obvious. However, all of these little benches definitely have their own little way and thing, and an easy way to add a way to identify what these are is you just grab a quick sign. We're going to stick with the bamboo because it's what we did with the side pieces. And if you place your sign like this, it looks like a back cushion, which makes it very easy to label what you're putting in these side pieces. So like in here, you do bulk storage where you're dealing with like obnoxious amounts of stone or a ton of things that just, you know where they're going. It's all wood. It's all stuff you use regularly. You know where it is pretty often. Now, we're talking side storage, weird pieces you're not using quite as often, or it's very specific, like, oh, this is nether. You write nether on one of these signs, and it gives you a nice looking environment while also still being an active functional storage space. Now, come up here. I went ahead and built like these little seated areas where you sit and you face the person across. First, I was like, maybe I should put a table in. Unfortunately, tables don't really look good in this space capacity, so you still are given the opportunity to use it as a storage space, and you can equally, in other options, go ahead and do things like this, which breaks up some of the monotony. You can also do like some coloring to make it like a little bit more fun colors, but then you can also label these as if you are pre-purchasing a very particular seat for your travel, which makes it quite convenient and quite efficient in terms of being able to identify your storage in that kind of way. Another really fun, it's a daisies, there we go. Super easy, fun, simple thing to do to label your storage, make your storage feel like it's part of your environment and is effective for whatever you need it to do, while also not being just a giant room of chests. So like here, it's a food bar or something like that, and you can go ahead and put certain things like food in here. I felt like the orange was just a nice color with the room. And then upstairs, this isn't storage, but it's fun. Whoop. I went ahead and made the cockpit, also put some end rods out here so it's more accurate to an actual boat where it has some sort of labeling. However, at least in the US, we typically have to label our port and our starboard different colors, but unfortunately we have very limited lighting coloration here, and I did not want to try too hard with that, honestly. But you got like a navigation system, You got your controls, all the buttons, all the simple things. It's not complicated, but it's super fun. And somebody left their water bottle in here. But on that note, I really appreciate you coming to hang out. I think this is super fun. And I think if we get any more block pallets that are anywhere similar to this, I'm definitely going to bring them and put them in this area with it so that we can continue to build like some sort of little port town. I personally love oceanside builds. I think they're a lot of fun. But I really do appreciate you coming to hang out and saying hi and being a part of this. It's been an absolute blast. Now, if you have a block palette you want to share with me, please put it down in the comments. Every block palette helps. And at this point, I'm down to one more block palette someone's already given me before I run out of things for the videos. So please leave one in the comments. It might not be the next video, but I will probably get to all of them eventually unless there's a sudden influx. But other than that, I really do appreciate it. Remember to take care, drink water, and have a lovely rest of your day. And I will see you all next time. Bye!